It's that time of the year to jump into the top 50 upcoming RPGs, action-adventure games, and a mix of both or whatever for 2023 and beyond. I will start off chronologically with games that have official release dates, and then I'll get into more of the TBAs. Now do note that I will not be covering MMOs, and I won't be getting too deep into CRPGs, JRPGs, or Kickstarter type games as they get their own videos. It's a long one today, folks, so sit back, relax, and let's get into the future of gaming. Forspoken is an upcoming single-player open-world third-person action RPG set in the dangerous land of Athia. Being developed by Luminous Productions and published by Square Enix, and it has a very near release date of January 24th of 2023 for PC and PlayStation 5. In Forspoken, you'll be taking on the role of a young woman by the name of Frey Holland, who must harness her magical abilities to survive in a fantastical and extremely dangerous land. Frey was mysteriously transported from New York City to Athia. She reluctantly agrees to help the last remaining citizens who see her as their only hope. Be prepared to take on twisted monsters and magical combat with a wide range of powerful abilities catering to a variety of playstyles, from fast-paced and exhilarating to more strategic and methodical. Frey's unique abilities also allow her to fluidly traverse this open world with ease as she scales walls, vaults across canyons, and dashes through vast landscapes. The game certainly looks pretty. Let's hope it turns out good.
Lumos.
Hogwarts Legacy is an upcoming single-player, third-person open-world RPG set in the wizarding world that Harry Potter took place in. It's being developed by Avalanche Software, and it currently has a release date of February 10th of 2023 for PC and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. It'll also be coming out on old-gen, but at a later date of April 4th, and Nintendo Switch on July 25th. This game will stay true to the lore of the famed Harry Potter books, but it'll take place in the late 1800s, well before our boy Harry was born. In this game, you'll be playing as a new student at Hogwarts, but starting school as a fifth-year student who has a very special, unique ability to manipulate ancient magic. Hogwarts Legacy will be narratively driven, and it will feature an open-world atmosphere where you're not confined to the castle walls. You will be creating your own witch or wizard, choosing your house, growing your magical abilities by mastering spells and combat skills through casting, brewing potions, and taming fantastic beasts, and you'll be riding on your broom or perhaps on the back of creatures such as hippogriffs, thestrals, and graphorns. Wukong Fallen Dynasty is an upcoming single-player third-person action RPG set in a dark fantasy version of the later Han Dynasty, where demons plague the Three Kingdoms. The company behind this game is Team Ninja, the creators of Nioh. It has a release date of March 3rd of 2023, coming out for PC and old and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. Fallen Dynasty is an action-packed story of a nameless malicious soldier who is strenuously fighting for survival. You will be able to create your own character just like in the Nioh games, and this will be a story of you, the protagonist's rise from being a nobody. Expect challenging combat that requires good reflexes and timing as you fight off deadly creatures and enemy soldiers using swordplay based on Chinese martial arts. This game will offer players various playstyles as you'll begin the game by choosing between one of 5 phases, which will determine your basic stats, starting spells, and your divine beast. On top of that, there will be a variety of different weapons to utilize, from glaives to dual swords. This game seems to have some intricate systems, and I think fans of Nioh and the Souls games have something to look forward to.
The Order is gone. I was betrayed by the one I trusted most.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor is an upcoming single-player third-person action-adventure game, and it's a sequel to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's being developed by Respawn Entertainment, the same company as Fallen Order, and its release date is set at March 17th, 2023 for PC and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. Jedi Survivor will be a narratively driven game that picks up 5 years after the events in Fallen Order, and you'll be following Cal's increasingly desperate fight as the galaxy descends further into darkness. Cal is no longer a Padawan, as he has grown into a powerful Jedi Knight. The cinematic combat system from the first game will be returning with the addition of Force abilities and new lightsaber fighting styles. There will also be new planets to discover and familiar frontiers as you explore, fight, and roam. Jedi Fallen Order seemed to be a widely well-received game, so Jedi Survivor may be one to keep an eye on. Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn is an upcoming single-player third-person open-world action RPG where you'll join humanity's last stand as gods and guns collide. This game is being developed by A44 Games and currently has an early 2023 release window for PC and old and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. In Flintlock, you'll be playing as Nor Vanek, a member of the Coalition Army who has a personal vendetta against the gods. Nor also has a companion, Enki, which is a strange creature gifted with magical powers. The idea behind the story is that the living are on the brink of extinction, and it's up to the Coalition Army to retake their world from the old gods' army of the undead. As you can see, this game has somewhat of a God of War-inspired combat system, and according to the Steam page, the combat is demanding yet rewarding, and you should expect to be blending axe, gunplay, magic, and more all together. It's an open-world game, so expect to be journeying through desert lands, cavernous ruins, and finding plenty of secrets that lie in the City of Dawn. Now, I'm trying not to do any console exclusives in this video, so I'll keep this one short, but I do think it's noteworthy to quickly mention The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is coming out on May 12th of 2023 for Nintendo Switch. This game is a sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, which came out in 2017. As someone who has very fond memories of the Ocarina of Time and Link's Awakening for the Game Boy, I felt like I couldn't leave this one off the list. Anytime I see anything Zelda, it gives me a shot of nostalgia.
When I think of the Justice League, I think of Wonder Woman, Superman, Green Lantern. You don't want to mess with that lot.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is an upcoming single-player and up to 4-person co-op, third-person action-adventure shooter-fighter game set in the open-world city of Metropolis. The company behind this game is Rocksteady Studios, who made the Batman Arkham games, and has a release date of May 26 of 2023 for PC and next-gen PlayStation and Xbox. In this game, you'll be discovering the origins of Amanda Waller's infamous task force, the Suicide Squad, which includes Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark. You'll be embarking on your mission to take down the world's greatest DC superheroes, the Justice League. Each squad member will have their own unique moveset with enhanced traversal abilities to freely explore this dynamic open city, along with a variety of customizable weapons and skills to master. If you've always wanted to kill Batman, this may be the game for you.
The dream continues to haunt me, old friend. It always starts with a journey to a distant land.
Diablo 4 is an upcoming online multiplayer isometric open-world action looter RPG set in the world of Sanctuary following the aftermath of Diablo 3. This game is being developed by Vicarious Visions, but also, of course, Blizzard Entertainment, and it has a June 6, 2023 release date for PC and old and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. In this game, you'll be able to create and customize your own character to battle against the unspeakable horrors that blight the land, and you'll be able to choose from the classes of Barbarian, Druid, Necromancer, Rogue, and Sorcerer. As all Diablo games, your goal is to complete the main campaign, and then embark on the endgame journey of growing in power through lots and lots of loot and character progression. Like I mentioned earlier, this is an online game. You actually cannot play offline. You should expect to run across other players in the open world. However, the dungeons are private for solo or partied players. I should also note here that co-op is up to 4 players in a group. And the game will feature PvP, but it will only take place in designated areas called the Fields of Hatred. With this shared world, there will also be shared world bosses where you'll need to work together with others in the world if you want to achieve victory and get that precious loot.
Take Joshua and get to safety.
I'm not going without you.
I'm going to hold the enemy here while you make your escape.
Your Highness!
Final Fantasy XVI is an upcoming single-player third-person action RPG, and it'll take place in a new world called Valisthea. Being developed by Creative Business Unit 3, which is of course underneath Square Enix, and it has a release date of June 22nd of 2023, but it's very important to note here that it is a PS5 exclusive, but likely a timed exclusive, so PC players and perhaps Xbox players are just going to have to wait a little longer. This game is of course the 16th main installment in the Final Fantasy series, and it will feature segmented open environments and an action-based combat system involving both melee and magic-based attacks. The world of Valisthea is a world divided by 6 nations who hold power through access to magical crystals and dominance, which are humans who act as hosts for each nation's icon. Players will be taking control of protagonist Clive Rossfield, who is a guardian to his younger brother who is a dominant of Phoenix, and he witnesses his kingdom being destroyed, sending him on a revenge quest in pursuit of the dark icon Ifrit. It's also important to note that there will be a rotating party of AI-controlled companions. Starfield is an upcoming single-player first and third-person RPG that takes place in the Settled systems. This game is of course being developed by Bethesda Game Studios, the company behind the Elder Scrolls franchise. And for a release date, the last that we heard was first half of 2023 for PC and new-gen Xbox, and it will also be on Xbox Game Pass. In this next-gen RPG, hopefully it feels next-gen, you'll be able to create any character that you want and explore the Settled systems with unparalleled freedom. The year is 2330, and you'll be joining Constellation, the last group of space explorers, and helping them seek out rare artifacts throughout the galaxy that should help answer humanity's greatest mystery. If you've played the Elder Scrolls games or the Fallout games, you probably have an idea as to what to expect here. There will be multiple factions that you can join or fight against, several companions, and it should be pretty much up to you to determine how you want to approach the game. A few other noteworthy aspects are an outpost building system, ship building, ship flying, and ship combat, a deep skill system, and plenty of resource gathering and crafting. There will be over 100 solar systems in the game, giving us over 1,000 planets to explore. Procedural generation, of course, plays a big role in this.
Tell me, why have you come here? We must all cure ourselves of the entire cult of the Absolute.
Baldur's Gate 3 is an upcoming single and up to 4-player co-op, turn-based, isometric, and somewhat third-person RPG that takes place on the continent of Faerun in the Forgotten Realms Dungeons & Dragons setting. This game is being developed by Larian Studios, the company behind the famed Divinity series, and Baldur's Gate 3 is currently still in its early access phase, but we now have an official release month of August of 2023, and it will be releasing on PC and Mac. As for consoles, we don't have any news yet, but I do think it will make its way there at least at some point in the future. Baldur's Gate 3 takes place over 120 years after the events in BG 1 and 2, but you'll not have to have played the originals to be able to jump into this one. The game's classes, races, and mechanics are largely based off of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and the game has a heavy focus on its narrative, allowing players a ton of agency accompanied with many story permutations. You will be controlling a party of up to 4, which can consist of player-made characters or companions, or if you want to play multiplayer, you can have up to 3 of your friends join you on your adventure. This one is looking like it's going to be a pretty epic journey, so keep an eye on it. If you'd like to learn some more, just click on my channel and you'll find a plethora of Baldur's Gate 3 videos.
So, you're a Banisher, eh? You want ghosts, right? You must have seen some strange things.
Banishers Ghost of New Eden is an upcoming single-player third-person action RPG set in 1695 New Eden. Don't Nod are the developers behind this game, and has a planned release year of 2023 for PC and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. In this game, you'll be hunting ghosts as two memorable characters in a story-driven game where your decisions will have dramatic consequences. Antea and Red are lovers and ghost banishers, but one disastrous mission would leave Antea fatally wounded, and she would become one of the spirits that she loathes. You'll be able to play as both of these characters as you battle supernatural forces with magic, weapons, and spiritual powers, and you'll be working to try to find a way to liberate Antea from her new plight. There will be unlockable gear and abilities, and the developers are pushing hard to make it clear that there will be plenty of meaningful and morally ambiguous choices that will affect the story, the world, and the fate of all characters dead or alive.
It depends on the choice you make. Truth or lie.
Lies of P is an upcoming single-player action Souls-like RPG inspired by the story of Pinocchio and set in a dark Belle Epoque world. Being developed by NeoWiz Games with a release year of 2023, and it will be coming out on PC and old and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox, and it should be available on day one with Xbox Game Pass. In this game, you'll be playing as Pinocchio, a puppet mechanoid, and you'll be fighting your way through all sorts of mechanical monstrosities on your unrelenting journey to, of course, become human. It wouldn't be Pinocchio without lying, though, and you will be lying in this game, and we're told that there will be interconnected procedural quests that play out depending on how you lie, and the choices you make here will affect how the story ends. As many of you can tell, this game is giving off major Souls vibes with the general gameplay flow, the combat, and even the dark setting, and it appears as if it's going to be quite challenging and engaging. This game will also feature some sort of weapon crafting and combining system where you'll combine weapons in a multitude of ways, and it also features a special skill system where you can change parts of Pinocchio's body to gain new skills for combat and utility alike. Unawake is an upcoming single-player, first-person melee action adventure set in a dystopian apocalypse-looking setting. The company behind this game is Reality Arts Studio. It currently has a planned release year of 2023 for PC. The idea behind the story here is that there was an archaeological discovery on the ground of an ancient city, and you, the player, have trained for the sole purpose of entering into the unknown. In this new world, it will define everything that you know, and you'll find yourself mixed in an eternal war between the forces of heaven and hell. This game features breathtaking environments, fast and tactical first-person combat. You'll have experience-based character and skill progression with more than 20 skills to customize, and a variety of different weapons from your trusty sword to bows. And you can even customize your weapons with elemental effects and buffs to help give yourself the edge against your opponents. This game will have a story-based progression that blends sci-fi with history and dark fantasy, and you, the player, will be the key to humanity's survival. Black Myth Wukong is an upcoming single-player third-person action RPG based on the classic Chinese tale Journey to the West. This game is being developed by Chinese developer Game Science. It seems like it's planned for a 2023 release for PC, and I quote, other mainstream consoles. Cloud gaming platforms capable of running the game smoothly will also be considered. In this game, you'll be playing as Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, who is known for his incredible speed and his ability to transform into various animals and objects, and apparently also bugs, as we saw at the start of the footage. Expect high-quality graphics, sufficient details, immersive, challenging combat, and a great storyline. This game seems to combine environmental exploration and utilization along with its Souls-like combat. I gotta admit, the gameplay footage that we've seen looks quite impressive.
باسم ابن إسحاق Are you ready to give up who you once thought you were?
I am.
Assassin's Creed Mirage is an upcoming single-player third-person action-adventure game that takes place in 9th century Baghdad. The company behind this game is Ubisoft Bordeaux, and it has a release year of 2023 for PC and old and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. Assassin's Creed Mirage will be narratively driven and will follow the transformation of a young, defiant man into a refined master assassin with a conflicted destiny. This character's name is Basim, a cunning street thief with nightmarish visions seeking answers and justice. You will of course be parkouring seamlessly through the city with a large assortment of tools at your disposal. There will be contracts at the Assassin's Bureau, you'll be collecting vital clues, and stealthily taking down targets with the most visceral assassinations that this franchise has ever seen. Although you will be spending most of your time in the 4 districts of Baghdad, there is another key location in this game called Alamut Castle, and this castle plays a huge role in Assassin's Creed history and even real-life history. Mirage will have a bigger focus on linear storytelling and stealth gameplay, with a smaller, denser open world than many of the recent games. Hopefully we get to see some actual gameplay in the near future.
It has never stopped. For thousands of years. The war between demons and mortals.
The Awakener Arisen is an upcoming single-player, third-person, open-world action RPG set in a fantasy world of medieval Europe. Being developed by Tanner Game, and its release year is 2023, coming out for PC and old and new-gen PlayStation. In this game, you'll be taking on the role of an adventurer who is embarking on a path of revenge and redemption. As you can see, the overall game is giving off a bit of a Dragon's Dogma vibe. It's said to have been inspired by Dragon's Dogma. And while on this topic, I do want to quickly mention that Dragon's Dogma 2 is in development by Capcom, but we don't have a trailer or anything to really talk about in this video. The Awakener Arisen will feature several classes, as we could see a fighter, mage, assassin, and perhaps a ranger type class, but we also know that there will be advanced classes that you can choose from, such as the warrior, sword dancer, soldier, and lancer for the fighter class. It's not all about combat though, as you will also be riding dragons and commanding airships. I guess the main goal for your character, which is also said to be customizable, is to become what the game calls the Awakened One. Forsaken Realms Vahrin's Call is an upcoming single-player third-person action RPG set in the beautiful world of Leda. The company behind this game is Titan Rock, but we don't have a specific release date yet, but I did reach out to one of the devs and he confirmed that it's planned for 2023 and releasing on PC, but with consoles planned afterwards. As you can see with the gameplay and the atmosphere, this one is giving off a bit of a Fable vibe. It will be story-driven, and you'll be playing as a mercenary who is now one of the few remaining defenders of the great city of Vahrin, which has been taken over by a great threat. The cool thing about this one is that Titan Rock is planning on making a few Forsaken Realms games, so if Vahrin's Call goes well, I would expect plenty of more titles that feed into this continent-spanning narrative. In this game, you'll be tailoring your apparel, weapons, imbues, spells, and skills to match your ideal playstyle, and of course using all of that to attempt to overcome the many vicious foes that have infested the land. I've been following this one for a while now, and it's being developed by a small, seemingly really passionate indie team, so if it looks interesting to you, be sure to wishlist it over on Steam to show your support.
They say what goes up must come down. No one ever talks about things going the other way.
Broken Roads is an upcoming narrative-driven single-player turn-based isometric post-apocalyptic RPG that is set in Australia. Being developed by a company by the name of Drop Bear Bites, and it's set to release on PC sometime in 2023. You will be controlling a party of up to 5 members and making your way across a desolated future Australia. This game features authentic Australian locations, plenty of beautiful hand-drawn artwork, a blend of traditional and original RPG mechanics, and a unique morality system which will influence dialogue, quests, and character development. Broken Road certainly catches my eye, mostly because of the beautiful, authentic artwork. I think if it can pull through with its RPG mechanics and have that morality system really be something that gives power to the players, we might have ourselves a somewhat hidden gem here.
The sand has memories. Memories of our past, when gods walked this world.
Atlas Fallen is an upcoming single and two-player co-op third-person semi-open world action RPG set in the sands of a timeless land. It's being developed by Deck 13, and it has a release year of 2023 for PC and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. In this game, you'll be rising from the dust and attempting to liberate mankind from the oppression of the corrupted gods. You'll be gliding across the sands, which are filled with ancient dangers, mysteries, and fragments of the past. The main gist of this game seems to be hunting legendary monsters using powerful shape-shifting weapons and also these devastating sand-powered abilities. Your enemies will drop essence that you can gather to help shape your own custom playstyle. We don't currently have much information on this game, so I'm not sure if it's going to be more like a Monster Hunter type game, or perhaps something more akin to The Witcher, or maybe a mix between the two. With a 2023 release, I'm expecting a full gameplay trailer sometime in the near future.
Welcome to Zoria.
Zoria Age of Shattering is an upcoming single-player isometric turn-based story-driven RPG set in the expansive fantasy world of Zoria. Being developed by Tiny Trinket Games, and it's planned to release sometime in 2023 for PC, possibly also consoles at a later date. I should also note here that there is a playable demo available for download on Steam. In this game, you'll be controlling a party of what appears to be 4, and you'll be leading your team across the continent facing up against countless groups of monsters and bosses. Expect exploration across lush and grim environments alike, a dynamic turn-based combat system, some crafting, a resting system, and even a base management system. You'll have to regularly update your base by unlocking new wings and upgrading buildings, and doing so can reward you with resources, quests, and items. I'm not really sure what to think of this one yet, but I do have my eye on it, and I'll have to check out the demo soon. Dare I say it's giving off a bit of a Divinity vibe?
A great many people died in this war.
Your men killed my family. The Immortals are more than soldiers. We're the champion protectors of Lucy.
Immortals of Aveum is an upcoming single-player first-person magic shooter that we don't know much about. I'm not exactly sure what genre to place this game in, but hey, it's got a story and magic, so I figured I would throw it in here. The company behind this game is Ascendant Studio, and this will be their debut game, but they're getting the help of EA as their publisher, and it's supposed to release sometime in 2023 for PC and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. It is said that this game will deliver a visceral cinematic campaign experience. Hopefully we get some actual real gameplay sometime soon, as what you are seeing right now is all that we have to work with.
The Coronus Expanse. The Imperium's perilous frontier. A foul haven for the enemies of mankind.
Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader is an upcoming single-player, turn-based, isometric RPG that takes place in the grim darkness of the far future. This is the first ever CRPG in the gigantic Warhammer 40k franchise, being developed by Owlcat Games, the company behind the beloved Pathfinder CRPGs. It's currently in its playable alpha stage, and based on Owlcat's previous game development cycles, the official release will probably fall somewhere between the end of 2023 and the first half of 2024. Rogue Trader will be releasing on PC, and their website also kind of gives off the impression that it will be out, at least at some point, for consoles too. In this game, you'll be controlling a party of 6, and like I mentioned earlier, the game will feature turn-based combat. And this is important to note because the Pathfinder games had both turn-based and real-time with pause, but with Rogue Trader, it's turn-based only. Expect a heavy narrative with a ton of lore and dialogue, plenty of companions to choose from, and some deep, probably somewhat complex mechanics going on here. If you've played the tabletop RPG, you'll probably have a jump start in knowledge over everyone else, but do note that this game is inspired from the tabletop. It is not a direct copy.
Holy Aureus, giver of life and light. your divine radiance. We trust.
The Lords of the Fallen is an upcoming single-player and online two-player co-op third-person action RPG set in a dark fantasy world. The company behind this game is the same company that is developing Atlas Fallen, and that is Deck 13. It currently has a release window of 2023 for PC and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. Some of you may have played the original Lords of the Fallen, which came out in 2014, but this game is said to be 5 times larger than the original. You will be playing as one of the fabled Dark Crusaders and journeying through both the realms of the living and the dead. You can play this game as a solo campaign experience, or you can have someone join you for 2-player co-op, but beware, heroes from other realms can and will invade, so yes, that means that there will be PvP. This game will feature fast, challenging combat, colossal boss battles, deep immersive storytelling, and thrilling character encounters. You'll be able to fully customize your character's appearance before selecting one of 9 character classes that will be in the game. It is said that there are hundreds of unique brutal weapons in the game, but you can also forego metal for magic. The developers are currently making this one sound pretty interesting. Let's hope that they can pull it off. Bleak Faith Forsaken is an upcoming single-player, third-person, open-world, survival horror action RPG. It's being developed by a very small dev team of 3 called Archangel Studios. And we don't have a release date yet, but it will be releasing on PC. And the last I heard, they were also planning on consoles at a later date. I love projects like this, and from everything that I've seen so far, it is quite impressive. This game will be fast, responsive, and let's not leave out unforgiving. It definitely has a Souls-like combat system that should provide quite the challenge. You'll be able to use ranged or melee combat, go for a technomancy approach, or you can choose stealth over face-to-face combat. Within the Omni structure, there will be a simulated ecosystem where its inhabitants compete among themselves, and the food chain, as a result, will mold to every playthrough. Let's hope they can finally get it out in 2023. We're at about the halfway point for this video, and I wanted to stop and say thank you all so much for watching. I cover a variety of different RPGs on this channel, and if you're interested in more RPG content, I do greatly appreciate you considering hitting that subscribe button. Let's get back into it. Dark Envoy is an upcoming single-player and 2-player co-op sci-fi fantasy RPG set in a conflicted guns and sorcery world. It's being developed by Event Horizon. Its planned release year is 2023 for PC and old and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. This game is said to bring classic RPG mechanics with a skill-based combat system, and you'll be able to control the battlefield by playing at the speed that you want to play at. So basically, it's a real-time with pause RPG, but it also offers a slow time type of mode. There's not much info on the story of this game at this time, but the main component of the game is a story campaign, which can be played alone or in online co-op mode with another player. The classes that are offered include the Adept, Warrior, Engineer, and Ranger. You'll be able to also customize your party of up to 4 members with over a dozen available specializations. On top of growing your skills and stats and discovering perks, there will also be an expansive crafting system that features research and enchantment. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is an upcoming first-person open-world action-adventure game set in the iconic movies setting of the planet of Pandora. Being developed by Massive Entertainment and Ubisoft with a release date that seems to be sometime in 2023 or early 2024, and it will be launching on PC and new-gen Xbox and PlayStation. We're also not entirely sure yet if the game will be single or multiplayer yet. Frontiers of Pandora's goal is to bring to life the alluring world of Pandora with all its beauty and danger in an immersive open-world experience. The story will be a standalone story where you'll play as a Na'vi and embark on a journey across the western frontier, a never-before-seen part of Pandora. Like I said, it is open world, so we should be able to freely explore the deep, dense, beautiful jungles and also the grand vistas high up in the sky. As a Na'vi, you will of course be hellbent on pushing back the formidable RDA forces that threaten the planet, so get ready to shoot your bow at some big-arse helicopters.
Hush your candy-striped lips.
The Wayward Realms is an upcoming single-player first and third-person open-world RPG set on a group of 100 realistically scaled islands collectively known as the Archipelago. The company behind this game is Once Lost Games, and it has a release date of TBA, and it's going to be a PC-first title. The devs behind Once Lost Games consist of a few of the big OGs from the Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall, and if any of you remember those games, they were heavily based on procedural generation systems, which is also the basis for the Wayward Realms. The world in this game is going to be over 5,000 times the size of Skyrim's map, and it's said to be a constantly evolving experience with a story that reacts to your decisions. There will be factions and kingdoms vying for influence and power, and if you earn positions of prominence, you can change the course of history. In this game, you'll not be playing as a pre-baked character. Your character's class will be of your own design, as you'll be able to customize skills and abilities to craft your own spells, potions, and enchantments. You'll also be able to do and kind of be whatever you want to be, as you can be a socializing aristocrat, a thief entrenched in underworld conspiracies, or perhaps a scholar who dedicates their life to searching for artifacts. And speaking of artifacts, a big focus of this game is also on its lore and the discovery of that lore. I'm definitely keeping my eye on this one. A gigantic world certainly doesn't mean it will be a good game, but it's cool to see some devs kind of doing something different here as opposed to just giving us the classic open world RPG experience that we see all the time. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is an upcoming single-player, mostly first-person action RPG that takes place in a 21st century Seattle, Washington. Paradox Interactive is the publisher of this game, but there's kind of been some mystery and drama behind the developers, as the first ones apparently got fired, but we're told that the game is now in good hands or something like that. A 2023 release date is, and I put this in quotation marks, not impossible, and it's planned to release on PC and old and new gen PlayStation and Xbox. In Bloodlines 2, you'll be descending into Seattle's dark heart as a thin-blood vampire, and you'll be attempting to survive the vampire elite as various clans seek to gain ultimate power. You can choose to be brutal and unflinching, or cultured and seductive as you use charms, cunning terror, and sheer will to rise through this vampire society. Expect reactive storytelling, brutal combat, and of course plenty of blood-sucking. Crimson Desert is an upcoming open-world third-person action-adventure set in the unforgiving lands of Pywell. This game is being developed by Pearl Abyss, the devs behind the MMO Black Desert Online. It should be coming out on PC and old and new-gen consoles, but as for a release date, all we know is at the earliest it would be autumn of 2023, according to a Q3 earnings report. We actually don't know exactly what this game will entail, except that it's a third-person action-adventure. Many years ago, it was first labeled as an MMO, but that has since changed to be more of a narrative solo experience with, and I put this in quotation marks, multiplayer functions. In terms of the story, your job will be to travel to different regions, uniting them under your cause and recruiting allies. At this point in time, it appears as if players will be playing as a character named Macduff, who is the leader of a band of mercenaries. Hopefully we get some more on this soon.
I've faced tyrants and would-be gods. Seen friends lose life and limb.
Dragon Age Dreadwolf is an upcoming single-player, third-person, and isometric RPG, and it's of course the fourth main installment in the Dragon Age franchise. We still don't have a ton of information on it at this time, but it is expected to release on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And I guess at this point, I'd say we're looking at a 2024 release, possibly late 2023. BioWare did recently update us, letting us know that the team has hit their alpha milestone and the game is playable from start to finish in this alpha stage. Those of you who have played the previous Dragon Age games will know that we'll most likely be controlling a party of 4 once again, and the game should have a very heavy focus on story and companionship. We know that the game will take place in Tevinter, which is one of the oldest surviving human nations on the continent of Thedas, and we'll be visiting the magical capital city of Minrathous. I'm looking forward to seeing some gameplay, hopefully sometime soon. Archaelund is an upcoming single-player, first-person, and isometric tactical turn-based RPG. It's being developed by 4 Dimension Games. We don't have a release date, but according to what I've read, they need at least a few more months before it goes into early access. As you can see, you explore the world from the first-person perspective, but when combat starts, the view changes to a top-down perspective, where you'll then issue orders to your party. This game is said to have a vast open world that you can explore as you wish, and it will have deep and engaging character progression. This game's early gameplay footage has kind of a Morrowind charm to it that caught my eye, and then you accompany that with having a party of what appears to be 5 and isometric turn-based combat. We have a really interesting combination here. Clearly it's a small team making this game, so be sure to go wishlist it on Steam if it looks like it has potential to you. Greedfall 2 is an upcoming single-player, third-person action RPG, and it is a prequel, taking place 3 years before the events of the first game. Being developed by Spiders, and it's set to launch in 2024 for PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, although we're not sure at this time if it will be available on old-gen consoles or not. In this game, you'll be playing as a native of Tir Fradee, and taken to the old world, which is ravaged by war and where the colonists are from. Here you'll need to regain your freedom and take control of your own destiny, and what I would imagine will be a semi-open world experience if it's anything like the first one. We're told that we will be creating our own character and finding allies to join our team, and these allies we can not only help them with their quests, but also equip them the way that we want and take control of them in combat. Greedfall 2 is supposed to be a deeper RPG experience than the first game, and our every choice will have an impact on our adventure. Diplomacy, manipulation, infiltration, combat, all of these will be viable paths for you to achieve your goals. Gothic, which is a Gothic 1 remake, is an upcoming single-player third-person RPG set in a medieval fantasy world. The original Gothic game came out way back in 2001, so this game certainly has some nostalgia tied to it. The company behind this remake is Alchemia Interactive, with THQ Nordic as the publisher, with a TBA release date for PC and new-gen PlayStation and Xbox. In this game, the kingdom of Myrtana has been invaded by orcs, and the king needs the prisoners of the mines to mine magical ore so he can forge powerful weapons. But mutiny ends up turning the mines into a wild territory now controlled by the prisoners, and you will be assuming the role of one of these prisoners. The devs say that this will be a faithful remake of the original, but with a modernized combat system that takes the basic premises of the original combat to the modern age. The original game was very well widely received, so it's exciting to see this one being revived into modern-day platforms.
Something calls us Gollum. What is it, precious? The precious, of course. The precious. We want it. We want it.
I was really hesitant to include this one on the list because it's not really a top game, at least in my opinion, but let's go for it. The Lord of the Rings Gollum is an upcoming single-player action-adventure game that follows the character of Gollum before the events of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. It's being developed by Daedalic Entertainment with a release date set at lurking until the time is right. It should be launching on PC, old and new gen Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm not going to lie, the gameplay reveal trailer was not well received, and this game has become a meme at this point, and for obvious reasons, so I have no idea what to expect here. This game's goal is to have you experience Gollum's time as a slave below the Dark Tower to his stay with the Elves of Mirkwood. We'll be using stealth, agility, and cunning to survive, but it's also not unlike Gollum to assassinate or dispose of a careless enemy when the chance presents itself. Apparently, the decisions that you make and the way that you play will have a direct influence on Gollum's personality, and you will be experiencing his struggle between Gollum and Smeagol. It'll be interesting to see how this one plays out, that's for sure, and perhaps Daedalic Entertainment are working hard to drop a new gameplay trailer that will make everyone forget the first one, but I don't think that's possible.
We have always known war.
Avowed is an upcoming single-player, open-world, first-person RPG set in the fantasy world of Aora. This game is being developed by Obsidian Entertainment, and it will be releasing on PC and Xbox with the release of TBA, as we've not heard anything on this project in a while. It's important to note that the world of Aora is the same world that the Pillars of Eternity CRPG-style games take place in. Like I said before, this will be a game played with a first-person perspective. In Avowed, there will be swords, rune magic, and archery, and the game will also likely feature an in-depth dialogue system if we go off of some of Obsidian's past games. Most of this game is still shrouded in mystery, and a lot of the information is kind of rumors, so as of now, I shall just continue to pray for a new trailer or an update of any kind.
The Great Round Table and its noble protectors, the majestic lake and its pure lady.
Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon is an upcoming, I think, single-player, first-person open-world RPG set in the world of Tainted Grail, a gritty, dark reimagination of Arthurian legends. There is a board game that was developed by the same company that's making the video game, and that company is Awakened Realms. We don't have an official release date yet, but we do know that early access is planned for March of 2023 for PC. This game is said to be full of complex quests in which your decisions will matter and your choices are respected. The storyline is going to be dark, and it will require players to balance shades of gray and no good answers, paired with great freedom granted to the player with plenty of possible choices. In this game, King Arthur is dead, and humans living in Avalon are desperately trying to find new ways of life, but unfortunately there is a plague of Red Death which is creating chaos for the multiple factions. The gameplay that you're seeing in this video is from a 26-minute pre-alpha footage demonstration, which can be seen on IGN's channel. The devs behind this game are apparently pretty good at writing in their board games, so this one will be interesting to see how it turns out. Where Winds Meet is an upcoming single-player action, somewhat sandbox-type RPG set during the twilight of the Ten Kingdoms period in China. Being developed by Everstone Studio for PC, we don't have a release date yet, but they did say that there will be an open beta at some point. In this game, you'll be taking on the role of a wandering swordsman who must choose whether to follow his heart and mind and fight for justice, choose to safeguard the Empire, which will lead to his kind fading from prominence, or choose to stick to the moral code of chivalry and use his skills against laws and rules to protect the innocent. This game will feature an open-ended, somewhat sandbox RPG experience where players can explore in unprecedented ways. It's even said that you can choose to go down the route of being a doctor saving lives in this chaotic world, or perhaps play the role of a merchant accumulating wealth. Combat, of course, plays a key role in this game with Wuxia skills, attacks, and counterattacks, and you will have the freedom to define your own combat style. Also expect wall running, running on water, lots of climbing, and even acupuncture is listed in the game's features. There's a lot going on with the description of this game, but the unparalleled freedom that Everstone is advertising, tied to an RPG experience, certainly does sound interesting.
The world is filled with stories of legendary heroes and treacherous villains.
Fable 4, but we don't actually know the full name yet, is an upcoming RPG set in the green lands of Albion, as we can see from this old trailer. This game is being developed by Playground Games, who are known for the Forza Horizon racing games, while the first 3 Fable games were developed by Lionhead Studios, but that studio is long gone. The Fable IP is owned by Microsoft, so it will of course be coming out on PC and Xbox, but we currently have no hint of a release date. Even though the development has been mostly silent, some of the devs still seem active on Twitter with Fable in their bios, so it looks like it's definitely still a thing. There are rumors floating around that say that this game will have a multiplayer component to it, but we don't know to what extent, nor do we know if that's even true. If it's anything like the original Fable games, expect a third-person action combat RPG in a lush, vibrant fantasy world that is narratively driven, where you can of course embark on the path of good or evil.
Might see me as weak, but I will show you what lies behind my eyes.
Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 is an upcoming single-player, third-person / over-the-shoulder action-adventure game set in a dark fantasy world inspired by Norse mythology. It's of course a continuation of Senua's journey through myth and madness from the first game, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. This game is being developed by Ninja Theory with a TBA release date. It's coming out on PC, new-gen Xbox, and Xbox Cloud Gaming. In the first game, you follow Senua, a Celtic warrior, into Viking hell to rescue her dead lover's soul. And the game is well known for the intense, immersive cinematic feel that it gives off with its gameplay. Hellblade 2, if anything, will be a step up from that, and actually, the trailer that you're watching right now is actual gameplay, believe it or not. Expect lots of combat accompanied with puzzle solving, all mixed in with psychological horror. Hellblade is a game like no other, so keep an eye on this one. I'm sure it will end up being a hit. Blight Survival is an upcoming single-player and up to 4-player co-op action horror roguelite set in an alternate 14th century. I didn't want to really get into roguelites in this video, but there's so many games out there these days that blend so many genres into one, and this one does look cool, and I'm sure that some of you will be interested. The company behind this game is Hainier Studio, and has a release date of TBA for PC. You and up to 3 friends are the ones who have been called upon by nations offering coin, tasking you with destroying the all-consuming blight. There will be a large selection of weapons and armor, and you'll have the ability to customize these aspects to best suit your playstyle. You'll also be pillaging loot, but the game tells us to remember that what has been found can once again be lost. And that is definitely a hint to the game's roguelite nature, likely meaning that when you die, you'll be starting the game over to some degree. Since I'm including a roguelite in this video, I'll also give a quick shout out to another upcoming action roguelite that blends a few genres relating to this list together, and that is Ravenbound. This one, however, will be single player, and it features a vast open Scandinavian folklore inspired world, and open worlds are not typical for roguelites, so I'm keeping an eye on this one as well. Nazareth the Fallen is an upcoming single-player, third-person dark fantasy action-adventure game with RPG elements. It's being developed by Systemic Reaction. We do not have a release date at this time, but it should be coming out for PC. This game will be a story-driven dark fantasy game that is inspired by the works of Polish painter Zdzisław Beksiński, definitely said that wrong, and it will focus on a compelling narrative and exploration through a rich, strong sense of atmosphere. This game is also inspired by titles such as Planescape Torment and Dark Souls, so we're definitely going to be venturing into the darker realms of fantasy with this one. In this game, you'll play as a fallen knight who has awoken in a decrepit tomb. You'll be working to recollect your name as you're suffering from haunted dreams, and you only have fragmented memories from the distant land that you seemingly hail from. Choices that you make in this game and the relationships that you forge will irreversibly shape your journey through this tattered, broken world.
You know, I meant it when I said I understand how you feel. But if you hold on to the sadness, it'll weigh you down like an anchor.
Death Stranding 2, although the title is a working title, is an upcoming single-player third-person action-adventure game that will likely be some sort of sequel to the first game, as there are some important returning characters. This game is of course being developed by the legendary game developer Hideo Kojima and his studio Kojima Productions, but we don't have a current release date. I'd imagine that this one will be a PlayStation exclusive at launch, and then later make its way to PC like Death Stranding 1 did. A lot of people called Death Stranding, the first game, a walking simulator. I gotta say, it kind of is, but in my opinion, it was a really epic, emotional, immersive walking simulator with a deep, mind-bending story, and also some combat to go along with it. I try to keep my opinion off of these types of videos for the most part, but Death Stranding was an incredible experience for myself, so I'm very excited to see DS2 in production. And towards the end of this trailer, we also got to see Norman Reedus, of course, returning as Sam Porter Bridges. Because we don't know much more at this time, I will leave it at that.
We begin by hearing an old, wise-sounding voice, and we see a quiet, peaceful setting.
The Outer Worlds 2 is an upcoming, likely first-person single-player shooter RPG, and will be Obsidian Entertainment's sequel to its well-received Outer Worlds from 2019. The announcement trailer didn't reveal much, so mostly everything is speculation as of now. We do know that it will be launching on Xbox and PC, along with Xbox Game Pass, but for a release date, I got nothing. If it's anything like the first game, you should expect a game where you will be choosing your character's build, meeting companions and learning their stories, and experiencing a story being told through branching dialogue with multiple possible endings. We do not know where this game will be set, but we do know that it will be moving away from the first game's setting and into a new star system with a new crew. Star Wars Eclipse is an upcoming action-adventure game set in the High Republic era of the iconic Star Wars galaxy. We're not sure yet if it's single or multiplayer, but we do know that multiple characters can be played. The company behind this game is Quantic Dream in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games. We have no release date, nor do we know what platforms it will be coming out on. This game will be a multiple character branching narrative game where you'll have the power to make choices with real consequences. You'll be assuming the role of a cast of all new charismatic characters, each with their own story, abilities, and roles to play. Every decision you make in this game with these characters is said to have dramatic repercussions on your journey. The trailer is certainly high quality. Let's hope that the game also turns out that way.
My daughter, a new threat comes to our shores, and I must call you home.
Wonder Woman is an upcoming single-player, third-person, open-world action game that will introduce an original story set in the DC universe. Being developed by Monolith Productions, which are the devs behind the Middle-earth Shadow games. We do not have a release date yet, nor do we know what platforms it will be releasing on, but we can probably guess PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. What we do know is that the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor will be returning and will be a big part of the Wonder Woman game. And for those who may be unfamiliar, the Nemesis system is a complicated gameplay system that establishes a web of relationships between the player and notable enemy captains. I'll leave it at that until we get more information, but I do want to quickly mention, while on the topic of superheroes, that Spider-Man 2 has a release time of fall 2023, and there's also a Wolverine game in production. Both of those will be PS5 exclusives. I'm not really doing any PS5 exclusives in this video.
Peace is a lie. That is what the Sith believe.
Knights of the Old Republic Remake is an upcoming remake of one of the most critically acclaimed, beloved Star Wars video games of all time. This game's remake was put on hold earlier this year, as the developers that were chosen, which were Aspyr Media, I think is how you say it, I guess were not doing a good enough job, and it seems like the game might now be more so in the hands of a company called Saber Interactive. It's kind of hard to know the facts as there's not a ton of information, but it seems like the game is now back in development. The original KOTOR was of course developed by BioWare and released way back in 2003. But do note that we do not have a release date for this one yet, but it seems like it will be a PC and PlayStation console timed exclusive, so Xbox players may have to wait a bit longer than everyone else. The original KOTOR is a game that features real-time with pause combat where you control a party of 3, and it of course features a deep story where you, the player, have some agency over your morality. As someone who has not played the original, I find myself really excited for this, but at the same time I do see a lot of fans of the original really worried that it won't get the justice that it deserves. It wouldn't be an upcoming RPG video without mentioning the Elder Scrolls 6 for the 6th year in a row. The Elder Scrolls 6 is an upcoming, likely single-player, first-person RPG being developed by Bethesda Game Studios. Its release date is unknown and likely far off in the future, and as far as platforms go, considering that Microsoft bought Bethesda, you can expect a PC and Xbox release. Bethesda is currently heavily focused on Starfield at the moment, but perhaps once that gets out of the way, we can start getting some Test 6 updates and maybe another trailer. It seems likely that this game will take place in the Hammerfell and High Rock provinces on the famed continent of Tamriel. If Starfield turns out to be a good game, then I will be beyond hyped for the Elder Scrolls 6.
In the crux of reality, there exists 2 lies.
Weird Song is an upcoming occult historical fantasy open world RPG set in a fictionalized Portugal in the Middle Ages. We don't really have much on this game at this time, but it is being developed by Something Wicked, which is a brand new studio comprised of Obsidian, BioWare, and Bethesda creative development staff. This is going to be a dark fantasy story where players will be challenged to question both their reality and the choices that they make. Weird Song sets to expand, question, and redefine aspects of what makes up the current role-playing game genre. The devs even go as far as saying that this will be the next evolution of open-world RPGs. I guess the goal with creating this studio is for these ambitious, experienced devs to be able to utilize their independent and creative autonomy. This is certainly exciting to hear. Hopefully we can get an update soon to get an idea as to what they have planned here. A couple other noteworthy mentions include Mass Effect 5, The Witcher 1 Remake, The Witcher 4, or whatever CDPR is going to call it, the next Cyberpunk, and Fallout 5 will be happening after Test 6. And a huge thank you to all of you who made it to the end of the video, and special thanks to channel members and patrons. I'll catch you all on the next one.